Hello everyone, back again with Story Recap. Before we get to storyline, I wish all happy and great day.
Alice, a 38-year-old woman on a work trip in Brazil, is preparing to return home to Paris. Before heading to the airport, she calls her friend Pauline, who is currently at work. Pauline informs Alice that since her departure, Lisa has been collaborating closely with their boss. Concerned, Alice expresses her desire to speak with the boss. However, Pauline witnesses Lisa and Vincent entering the boss's office and closing the blinds. Pauline advises Alice that she won't be able to talk further as he needs to attend to work matters. Meanwhile, on the plane, Alice is uncomfortable due to a persistent man who is overly forward with her. Coincidentally, a teenage boy named Bazaar discovers someone else occupying his assigned seat. The flight attendant then reseats Bazaar next to Alice in first class. Seizing the opportunity, Alice swiftly places Bazaar in the seat to prevent the other man from taking it. The man had previously approached Alice, asking her out on a date. Later on the flight, Alice becomes a bit annoyed with Bazaar as he seems to be enjoying his upgraded seat a little too much. Suddenly, the plane experiences significant turbulence, causing panic among the passengers. In the darkness, Bazaar attempts to get Alice's attention, and when the lights go out, Alice reaches for his hand out of fear. Eventually, the turbulence subsides, and the situation returns to normal. After disembarking, Bazaar notices a flash drive on the floor. He is in pursuit of Elise, who is vying to take over Alice's position at work. Feeling frustrated, Alice decides to confront Vincent about Elise. To Alice's surprise, Vincent defends Elise, stating that she is a better fit for the role. He explains that Elise is more daring and willing to take risks, whereas Alice is perceived as too rigid and risk-averse. Vincent further points out that Elise's diverse personal relationships, having been married 3 times to both men and women, demonstrate her adaptability. In contrast, Alice, who divorced 8 years ago, has been more focused on her career. In general, Alice's boss believes that Lisa's self-assured demeanor inspires people to think big. He suggests that Alice consider a different position at another magazine, allowing her to spend more quality time with her daughter. Feeling frustrated and upset, Alice heads home. Her ex-husband arrives to pick up their daughter, so bidding them farewell before leaving. Upon returning to work, Alice's distress grows when she realizes she can't find her flash drive. After a brief search, she discovers a note from Pauline, who has left a phone number for her to call. Bazaar answers the phone, but he is in a noisy bar with his friends. Alice inquires about her USB, and Bazaar confirms he has it, providing her with the location of the bar. Hastily, Alice rushes to the bar where Bazaar introduces her to his friends. However, he soon admits that there was a misunderstanding on the phone. He doesn't actually have her flash drive with him. It turns out the drive is at his house. Meanwhile, 2 of Alice's colleagues spot her at the bar and are taken aback. Bazaar's friends quickly snap a photo and share it on Twitter. Bazaar then takes Alice to his home on a pink scooter adorned with Hello Kitty, which he acquired unintentionally because the advertisement was not in color. Upon arriving at Balthazar's house, Alice meets his father, who is dating a much younger woman. They discuss their opinions on a new television show before Balthazar searches for Alice's USB stick. Grateful for his help, Alice prepares to leave, but Balthazar extends an invitation for coffee. Recognizing his interest in her, Alice kindly declines, explaining that she doesn't date younger men. The following day at work, Alice notices her colleagues whispering and giggling. When Pauline arrives, Alice inquires about the situation. Pauline shows her the picture circulating online, featuring Alice and Balthazar, with the caption labeling her as a cougar. Later, Alice discusses work-related matters with her boss, who commends her for selecting a younger individual for the job. He expresses appreciation for the fresh ideas that align with the rebellious spirit of the magazine, Rebel. Subsequently, Alice confides in her friend about the conversation with her boss. Her friend suggests that Alice should spend more time with Balthazar, be kind to him, and even play into the rumors for the sake of appeasing their boss. The friend emphasizes the importance of keeping the boss happy, noting that he doesn't favor employees who are overly dedicated to their work. Although hesitant, Alice decides to give it a try. She dresses in a more appealing outfit and visits Balthazar at his college. Balthazar is surprised and pleased to see her. He eagerly agrees when she invites him to an art show that evening. Back at home, Alice engages in a conversation with her daughter Zoe about popular music groups. She tries to recall the names of these groups to establish common ground with Balthazar and facilitate smoother interactions with him. At the art show, Balthazar is particularly drawn to an interactive artwork. Alice finds the exhibition somewhat embarrassing, but when the artist, Claude, approaches and asks for her opinion, she compliments compliments his work. However, when Claude becomes arrogant and solicits Balthazar's genuine feedback, Balthazar delivers a blunt and unfavorable critique, infuriating Claude, who storms off. Seeking a more private setting, Alice and Balthazar retreat to the balcony. Alice feigns affection towards Balthazar, especially when she spots Alice observing them. Hoping to introduce Balthazar to her boss as her date for the evening, Alice approaches Lee. However, Lee informs them that their boss won't be attending. When Balthazar declines Lee's suggestion to share Elise, Lee shifts his attention to Alice, asking where she met Balthazar. Feeling irritated, Alice impulsively takes a puff from a cigarette. Balthazar overhears the word "doctor" when Alice receives a call from her sister, who wants to set her up with her gynecologist, Richard. Concerned about Alice's daughter, who is at the hospital, Balthazar swiftly hails a taxi and persuades the current passenger to exit so that Alice can rush to the hospital. Alice felt pleased when the taxi drove away, appreciating Balthazar's actions. Earlier that evening at dinner before the fashion show, she had donned a striking outfit to impress her boss, who was in attendance. However, Balthazar inadvertently embarrassed himself by loudly inquiring about Kimmel. Later, when a model stumbled on the runway, Balthazar promptly informed Alice's boss. When one of Zoe's friends attempted to capture a photo of them, Alice noticed and promptly left, leading her boss to speculate about a romantic connection between them. After Balthazar drives Alice home, he kisses her, unaware that her daughter Zoe and Elizabeth are inside. This puts Alice in an awkward position. Upon entering the house, Alice introduces Balthazar as her intern. She escorts them to the door and shares another kiss with Balthazar before his departure. A few days later, they encounter Balthazar again. He goes out of his way to leave thoughtful notes and a music player for Alice. They arrange another date, and later, while in bed together, Balthazar questions why Alice chose to go out with him. Before she can respond, he sidesteps his own query, leaving the question unanswered. In the subsequent segment, Alice is attending a work meeting led by Lee, who presents some preliminary ideas for the upcoming magazine issues. Alice, seated in the corner, is engrossed in exchanging messages with Balthazar and giggling. When the boss directs a question to Alice about her thoughts on the proposed themes, Lee sarcastically suggests she might propose mundane topics like armpit stains or high heels. Contrary to everyone's expectations, Alice boldly suggests exploring the theme of beyond stereotypes. She candidly addresses the label of cougar she's been given due to her relationship with a younger man, emphasizing that she is unfazed by such stereotypes. Alice advocates for a more open conversation about fantasies and sexual experiences rather than being preoccupied with societal labels. Later that evening, Alice gazes at her reflection in the mirror, contemplating whether she should reveal to Balthazar the real reason she began dating him. She hesitates, fearing the potential judgment she might face as she ages. However, when she meets up with Balthazar, he introduces her to a fascinating new building he admires, shedding light on his aspirations to become a building designer. They share a drink together, and Balthazar expresses how much he enjoys Alice's company and looks forward to seeing her. Alice, feeling emotionally vulnerable, questions him about his views on their relationship. She mentions her grown-up daughter and the significant age gap between her and Balthazar, suggesting that perhaps they should reconsider their relationship. Despite her personal concerns, Alice is excelling at work, earning praise from her boss. Her friend Simon inquires whether she has been honest with Balthazar about her feelings before contemplating a breakup. Alice admits she hasn't. Meanwhile, at school, Zoe gets into a confrontation with another girl who showed her a video of Alice dancing with Balthazar. Alice's ex-husband becomes upset and insists that she needs to talk to Zoe to resolve the situation. When Alice questions the double standard regarding age differences in relationships, pointing out that her ex-husband dates younger women without judgment, he simply responds that it's different for him because he's a man. A significant date is approaching at Rebel magazine as Tracy Kimmel is scheduled to visit. Alice is unimpressed by the appearance of the man in the photo and had previously declined other models. However, now she expresses interest in meeting the runway model, the one Balthazar mentioned. Vincent, her boss, is enthusiastic about the idea and gives his approval. When Alice confronts Vincent about the upcoming photo shoot with the model Balthazar mentioned, Vincent implies that Alice should persuade her boyfriend to model if she wants the promotion. Feeling dejected, Alice tries to reach out to Balthazar for comfort, but he doesn't answer as he's drowning his sorrows with alcohol. After their breakup, Balthazar's father returns home to find the house littered with empty beer bottles and junk food wrappers. When Alice arrives at Balthazar's house, his father subtly hints at Balthazar's emotional turmoil, suggesting it might be because of a girl. Alice doubts it's her, but she and Balthazar step outside to talk. Alice is apprehensive about broaching the subject of the photo shoot, fearing Balthazar's reaction. On the day of the shoot, Alice repeatedly calls Balthazar, assuring everyone he'll arrive soon. Simon advises Alice to be honest with Balthazar about the shoot. The photo shoot begins with Balthazar visibly upset with Alice. The situation deteriorates further when the photographer unintentionally aggravates Balthazar, causing him to storm off. Alice attempts to talk to him, but he angrily blames her for the entire debacle. Feeling overwhelmed, Alice confides in Vincent about the chaotic situation. Vincent cryptically mentions that there's a lesson for Alice to learn from this experience. Finally, Alice decides to visit Balthazar at his college to sort out their differences. Alice is searching for Balthazar, asking his friends about his whereabouts as she needs to speak with him urgently. One of the students mistakenly directs her to a classroom, believing she is there to listen to Quincy's speech as a guest speaker. Seizing the opportunity, Alice decides to stay and joins the lecture. She attempts to engage with Balthazar by discussing buildings and transformations, but eventually confesses her mistake to him. The students react positively, applauding Alice's candidness. Balthazar, surprised by the turn of events, approaches Alice and questions what's happening. In response, Alice boldly kisses him in front of the onlookers. Later, Alice visits the printing press to address the issues with Simon, realizing they'll need to start over. She then presents Balthazar with a book she's written, inspired by their relationship. Touched by the gesture, they share another intimate kiss.